All right, what are we doing today? Today's video, we are talking about crime in Bend, Oregon. That comes out of my mouth with a little bit of surprise, but no matter where you go, there's going to be some form of crime to talk about. So we're in a sleepy little mountain town, kind of a historic town in Bend, Oregon. And if you're watching this video, you want to find out what does it mean when we talk about the crime? There's violent crime and there's non-violent crime. We're going to cover what the differences are and what you could expect in a sleepy little town like Bend, Oregon, because there's a little bit to talk about. It's all about safety. It's all about being precautious. It's all about being smart and being prepared for whatever might happen. And we're going to make the most of it. We're going to help you get safe, find out about the crime, and inform you about some options, maybe even throw in a gift or two along the way. We're going to do that right now. All right, so if we're talking about crime in Bend, Oregon, we got to talk about what crime means and what type of crime we experience here. There's really two types of crime that we isolate or we kind of discuss, and that's violent crime versus property crime. What's more common in Bend? Property crime. Violent crimes were pretty limited. Bend is a kind of smaller town, just over 100,000 people. We're Central Oregon community. We have a very low crime rate and a overall pretty safe place to live and visit. It doesn't mean there's no crime. Like any city, especially of this size, there's going to be some things to talk about when it's what's happening at the police department. Where are the calls they get on the call center? Where's the activity that they need to go out and monitor? What's that police presence like? When you come to Bend, you don't get a ton of police presence. You have just enough. You don't have a lot of crime, but when you watch the news, there's things that we talk about. Overall, you kind of have a pretty safe place to visit. The trends are, it's getting better. Overall, pre-pandemic, we had a pretty low crime rate, some of the best in the country, especially when measured against towns this size. As we've gotten past the pandemic, 2023, there was some rise in crime. Pandemic created some different activity. But now that we're post-pandemic, we have seen a decline in violent crime. We've seen a decline in drug-related crime. Most of the stuff that they talk about when you kind of look up the data is property crime. So what is that? Vandalism, theft, burglary, vehicles, abandoned vehicles. Those are the kinds of things that are more common in Bend. What you could expect if you were to visit or make the move and want to find out what Bend, Oregon is all about. That's kind of a rundown of really what to expect. What is the reason that we have such a low crime rate? It's a little bit of that neighborhood feel and that community that we experience here. I know for me, when I'm out of town, my neighbor's got his eye on my property, and if there's somebody around the property that doesn't look like they belong, he checks on it, he calls me, and we always make sure that there's some kind of connection there. Do you have that where you live? It's one of the questions I'm curious about as you're watching this video. Do you have crime where you live? What's it like? Does it kind of sound similar to what we're experiencing? Shoot me a comment. I'd love to hear. Is yours comparable? And what do you expect of crime in Bend compared to where you live? Let's take a pause for a minute. I can figure out a few more ideas I want to discuss. All right, I'd like to take a minute and say thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying the content so far and getting some good info, knowledge, tips about what's going on in Bend and Central Oregon. We're all about that lifestyle in Bend, getting you informed, and some of those things we like to do. We talked about a gift. How about a couple of gifts? Our goal, I'm a real estate agent, is to get you the information, help provide you a path to hopefully relocation or home ownership in Central Oregon. So my partner Joshua Grossman and I have included a totally free gift, which is a home buyer's guide. That's going to give you all kinds of information if you're thinking about buying a house, making a move, investigating what this real estate market's all about in today's market. There's a lot to know. It's not as easy as it used to be to just go walk around, check out houses, tell them you want to buy it, and make it happen. There's steps to how do you pick the right agent? How do you get the right commission structure and kind of understand what that looks like in today's business? We want to help give you those tips. Trying to make it as easy as possible. It's totally free. It's information, whether you're buying here locally, buying here somewhere else. But click into that comments down below and check out our home buyer's guide. Maybe you live local, maybe you don't. But for those of you that are thinking about selling a home, we haven't forgotten about you either. So right there next to it, you're going to have our home seller's guide as well. How do I stage my home? What do I do to fix it? What are the things that I need to know about getting top dollar and what's the right season? And that commission structure. How do I make it sell? And what is it going to cost me? Lots of details in these educational benefits to you, totally free. Click in the comments. Let's connect. You see all our info? All right, let's go talk about more tips about Bend. Come on, let's go. All right, so we're talking about crime in Bend. We're talking about what types of crimes. We're talking about what to expect and comparing your town to what Bend might be like. And let's talk about some of the contributing factors and what those stats look like. So Bend has grown a lot in the last 10 or 15 years, 20 years. It used to be a sleepy little town that had virtually no crime. And when it did, it was pretty significant. Now it's grown. And with population growth comes more challenges when it comes to managing that population and making sure people get along and there's not uproar or problems amongst the community. Population does have its impact. And why has some of this population happened? Well, tourism is part of it. The desire to live in this type of community in the mountains and the kind of landscape that we live here in the high desert, it's pretty attractive. The places that are probably most targeted for crime is, where is that tourism attraction? Maybe it's the parking lot at the hotels where you might not have put all of your valuables away and you've left exposure. Maybe it's at the trailhead or those parks where vehicles are going to be left parked for a long amount of time with no supervision. Those are the areas where you got to watch out. Also downtown. Obviously, when you've got a lot of people in and out and a lot of things happening, whether that's theft and larceny, whether that's bikes and camping gear, there's all kinds of things that, the wrong people might be targeting if you let your guard down. I know for me, I love being in Bend because it is a neighborhood and it is a town where not everybody locks their doors. It's kind of the vibe in this town is you want to feel like you can be in a town where I don't really care if I lock my front and back door. I don't have to worry if I locked my car because I, feel safe. And for the most part, that's the vibe around here. Things happen. Don't let your guard down and don't be complacent, because people break into stuff and you might lose your gear. You might lose something valuable in your car or at your house. So always stay smart and be safe. But it's growing. Tourism's brought on a lot. There's types of crime that we deal with. There's violent crime and there's property crime. And what are the stats in Bend? I think they measure it per 1,000 is the best one. I'm going to Google and trying to see how much information I can learn about what's going on in Bend crime. Google says overall crime, 18 crimes per 1,000 people. So what does that break down to? Like 1 out of every 56 people on an annual basis says they might have been exposed to some sort of crime. Now, when we're talking about violent crime, it's 2 per 1,000. So that's a pretty low crime rate. That means 1 out of every 645 people might be exposed to a violent crime in Bend on an annual basis. That's pretty small. It's probably different than a lot of places that you can compare it to. But the vibe in Bend, you're not going to be exposed to a whole lot of violent crime, and you've got a pretty good safe place to be. So there's the basics. What else do we need to know? All right, so one of the things that I want to talk about when we're talking about crime is the other end of it. How do we prevent it? What is this town doing that's making it a safe place to live? We talked about that community. And we talked about, being aware. It's big to know that you're in a place where most people are looking out for you. Most people are looking out for the well-being of others. And there's a significant awareness. One of the things that we're most exposed to in this town is taking safety precautions. If you're on the mountain, one thing we almost always advise is if it's a powder day, don't go ski by yourself. You end up in a tree well, you might not be found, and we don't want that to happen. Don't go hiking and backpacking out into the wilderness by yourself. We deal with things like wild animals. That's pretty tragic if you didn't go out prepared. It's all about being prepared. It's all about taking the proper precautions, being aware, having the right stuff that you need if you're going to be out at night by yourself, having the right gear if you're going to be out in the outdoors, making sure that if you're going to lock your car in a place where it's not going to be protected, you don't leave valuables exposed. If you're going to leave town or if you're going to leave your house, lock your door. Turn the lights on so that it doesn't look like there's nobody home and your house could be a target. So it's all about taking the right steps and being smart and being aware. And you live in a town and you live in a community. Even the police department will promote community safety and awareness for others. And that's part of why it works. A town perspective, from a government perspective and from a police perspective, we're all looking out for one another and making an environment where it welcomes everyone and makes the most out of that experience. And that's the vibe we're all about. It's all about that lifestyle in Bend and that outdoor active experience. Well, with that, when I'm on the trail, I'm looking out for other people. If I see somebody down and injured, I'm going to stop and help them. And we're always going to give tips on what we can do to keep it safe and keep everyone protected. So that's what it's all about. What a beautiful view over these Cascade Mountains. That's what it's all about here in the lifestyle in Bend. You got to get out here and enjoy it a little bit. How you feeling? You feeling the temptation of what this lifestyle in Bend is all about? Well, The topic today, we talked about crime in Bend. Well, I don't know if it's what you were expecting, if it's what you were looking for, or if it's maybe what you were hoping for. But Bend is a pretty low crime rate town. It makes this community, this lifestyle worth sharing and worth finding out about. So we're glad you joined the channel. We hope you got good information out of it today. And our goal is to help you find out more about this lifestyle in Bend. So the last gift, we are including a totally free ultimate relocation guide. Our goal in this is to give you all the information. Make sure you're feeling the temptation of what this life here is all about and this outdoor playground that we enjoy, and how do you get to it. So click in here. It's designed to save you a ton of time, get you the information on schools, jobs, hospitals, restaurants, activities. What do you need to know about this life in Bend? And we hope to kind of find that way to connect. So you see down below, we've got all of our information posted. It's my partner Joshua Grossman, myself Darren Heinlein. We work with eXp Realty here in Bend, and we're all about trying to connect and get you the information. So click that subscription, tap that bell for notifications. Let us keep you up to date. And our goal is to spend a little time with you, get to know you, and find out how we can help make this lifestyle all about it. We want to see you around town, but until then, give us a call, shoot us a text. Let's connect. Maybe we can set up a Zoom call and talk about what we do here. Let's go. Till then, signing off.